as well. But right now, very happy to talk to Renata Simril, who is the president and CEO of the LA84 Foundation. They have their Play Equity Summit coming up on Wednesday, right across the way here at LA Live. Renata, it's good to talk to you again. You and I, we figured we've spoken to each other one other time. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it is. It's been a while. I think that was pre-COVID.
Or
maybe
before.
right at COVID.
I think it was within a week, one way or the other, for sure.
Yeah, that's good to see you again.
Good to see you. So, we were talking a little bit during the break, and I was kind of sharing you some of the memories that I have of being a kid in Los Angeles in 1984. I was 13 years old, and the Olympics were coming to town, and it was awesome. And all of the things, and I remember the street signs on the freeway telling you that, okay, they're doing archery over here, they're doing basketball over here. It was just a really cool moment. And then, of course, you have the LA84 Foundation that came out of this that has allowed all of these different parts of our community and the kids in the community to have access to things through sports that probably they would not have had the Olympics not come through.
100%. And we're celebrating 40 years.
Crazy.
Of the 1984 Olympic Games.
Congratulations.
Isn't that crazy? Thank you. Thank you. The legacy that has left from, this extraordinary moment in Olympic history, the most financially successful games in the history of the Olympic movement still to this day. The Olympic Games in 1984 made $232.5 million.
Wow.
And we are the beneficiaries, about 40% of that surplus. And for 4 decades, we've been investing in nonprofit organizations, fields of play, soccer pitches, swim pools, research, and the convening, like the summit, to make sure that all kids have access to what we know to be the transformational power sport play and movement. It's been just an extraordinary journey, and this is our opportunity to celebrate that impact.
I was joking around with Travis about this. I grew up down in San Diego, and youth sports was everything. I worked at a recreation center for years, and I know the unbelievable impact that it can have on a kid to know that, all right, when I'm done with school, here's a place that I can go hang out for X amount of hours. I can pay $15 and I'm in a flag football program, and I'm going to be there every single week, twice a week, whatever the case is. Can you just talk about, in your own personal experience, how some of those youth sports, how it does kind of take a kid and all of a sudden it paints, gives them maybe an opportunity or opens up their mind around something that's sports related?
100%. I'm one of those kids. I went to school because I played basketball and tennis. Just had struggles in my family. My brother was pulled into the gang life, and for me, sports helped this, awkward middle school mixed race kid find her voice and find her tribe. It was everything to me. The resiliency, the teamwork, the friendships, the camaraderie, the joy, the perseverance that I developed through sports is a key contributor to why I'm running the legacy of the 1984 Olympic Games, no doubt about that. And that is what we're trying to do with our work. And the summit this week celebrates the power of sport to help kids bridge divide and bridge division. And so I'd encourage anyone and everyone who wants to help young kids thrive through sports, LA84.org, come on out, get involved in our work, because we are doubling down at this mark of our 40th anniversary for the next 40 years to do what we call is closing the play equity gap.
Renata Simril, she is the president and CEO of the LA84 Foundation. You mentioned, what would you say, $285 million surplus?
232.
232.
Yeah.
I know everybody's been chasing it ever since, because I remember when the idea was floated back in 84 about, look, we're going to have corporate sponsors. We're going to have all of these different ways to generate money, not just spend money, and that incredible amount of money that was generated and distributed to foundations like LA84. Did that change it for all Olympics moving forward? Has anybody been able to duplicate what LA did in 84 and create that model?
Well, LA was the first to privately finance the games. So we we're starting out where there was no expectation. So a lot of the innovations that Peter Uberoff and Paul Ziffrin and the executive committee of the organizing, Harry Usher, the sponsorship model, exclusive television rights model, the torch relay raised $10 million. Mm-hmm. Peter had this notion to sell a kilometer of each leg of the race, and nonprofits could then use that as a fundraiser. And that innovation raised $10 million to help finance the games. And so LA was a very different, time. The world was really different. Sports was different. But it did really set the mark of the International Olympic Committee they've taken a lot of those innovations and put them within the IOC, and then they do a revenue share with every games, post 1984. But it's expensive to put on an Olympic Games. I think LA28, is $9 million, $8 million, something billion. I'm sorry, $7-8 billion. And so I think LA will once again, with the third year, I think, are well on their way to hopefully eclipse what we did in 1984.
What's the hope for what you guys have accomplished? You mentioned 40-year anniversary. What's the hope over the next 5 years, 10 years with the foundation? Just curious what some of the vision is.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, and you were talking about down in San Diego being able to spend $15 and be in a football program or a club team. That doesn't exist today. A lot of young people are left on the sidelines or out of the game completely for whatever barriers, economic barriers, gender barriers. And the foundation about 5 years ago started a charitable arm called the Play Equity Fund. And that is where we are deepening our commitment and our impact to addressing the systems issues and barriers that are preventing young kids from engaging in sports. And so one of the things we're most proud of is we worked with Senator Josh Newman, state senator, to help him pass a recess bill. Recess isn't a mandate within public schools in the state of California, and many educators use it as discipline. They'll take it away from kids. My son has ADHD. Recess is where he needs to, let off that steam, where he needs to, work on his self-regulation and his, just breath work or whatever the case may be to calm his nerves. And so those are the types of things that we're going to be approaching over the next 5 years. PE is an unfunded mandate. Most schools have PE 1 to 2 days a week. The obesity rate in LAUSD is 45%.
Wow.
Type 2 diabetes, young kids are at risk for. So when you don't have recess, when you don't have PE, when you don't have after-school sports, that's where we're going to be putting our efforts, both the LA84 Foundation and our charitable arm, the Play Equity Fund, to really make sure we're leveling the playing field so all young kids can experience sport.
That ability to level the playing field, Renata, and we're speaking with Renata Simril. She's the president and CEO of the LA84 Foundation, and I'm going to put on my parent hat here for a second. I've got 3 kids of my own. They're mostly grown at this point. My youngest is a senior in high school. They've always participated in athletics, and not because we were trying to create the next Clayton Kershaw or Caitlin Clark, but hey, you need to go learn how to be a member of a team. You need to go learn how to have a bad coach. You need to go learn how to do all of these things, and to not have access to just playing, being on a team, wearing a uniform, learning how to get along, learning how to solve a conflict. All of these things you accomplish through sports. It's not the only place, but it's one of the better places, in my opinion, to learn these things in a very natural environment. And that this promotes access for people to be able to do that is very exciting.
100%. Resiliency and perseverance. Those are things that, I find in my own experience, if it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't have been able to make it through basic training. I went to the military before I went to college.
Which branch of the military?
Army.
Okay.
U.S. Army. Go Army. But just, the physical and the mental, aspects of basic training, sports, and being able to just overcome those obstacles. And certainly coming out of COVID, I know we're fully a year out of COVID, but a lot of kids didn't have that, and I think trying to get back those life skills is so important. And so the work that we do, and what we're celebrating on Wednesday at the Play Equity Summit, is the power of organizations across the country, not just LA84 Foundation and the Play Equity Fund, but there's the Seattle, King County Play Equity Coalition in Seattle. There's the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative, Laria Sports for Good. And so, Wednesday's summit is bringing together the nation's organizations that are focused on leveling the playing field, closing the play equity gap, to celebrate the work that we've done and to really have an opportunity for people to see where they can get involved to help us help all kids play.
Final one from me. So just somebody listening right now, they're in their car listening on the app, and they want to somehow find a way to get involved. Is there a way that just regular people here in Los Angeles can get involved, help in any way, whether that's monetarily or anything else?
Yeah, I'd say 3 things, maybe 4 things. One is follow us on our social media, so at LA84 Foundation. I'll throw a pitch for me, at Renata Angelino. 2 is log on to our website, la84.org, and find out how you can get involved, our newsletter. Stay involved and up to date. We have volunteer opportunities. We have events that come up. 3 is, come to our events. Our summit is on Wednesday at JW Marriott. We also have a play day on June 29th. We're celebrating. We're trying to create a play day for Earth Day, if you will. We're having a huge block party at our campus. We're closing Adams Boulevard in Gramercy. It's
cool.
free, open to the public. It's a way for us to celebrate our 40th anniversary with our community. And then the fourth is, to be able to help all kids play, it takes resources. And so for those who, have the ability, log on to LA84.org and, make a contribution. But more importantly, it's about paying attention. It's about being involved with kids within your community, either your own kids or other kids. So coach, volunteer. Just think about the millions of kids who are left out of the game or on the sidelines and find a way that you can get involved. And we'll certainly help you do that.
Renata, one last one before we let you go. Appreciate your time. You mentioned that you played basketball and tennis in school. I need your opinion on what you've seen Caitlin Clark do and what she's done for the sport of women's basketball over the last couple of years.
Nothing short of extraordinary. To watch her and her offense and the shots that she took is just incredible. I think this is the next 2 decades, the future of women. The future of sports is women's sports, without question. We helped Angel City Football Club and what Julie Ehrman and Kara Nortman and Natalie Portman are doing with Angel City Football Club just in their 3rd season is extraordinary. What Caitlin Clark is doing for the NCAA and now the WNBA as she comes in. But then there's also like Dawn Stately.
Sure.
I mean, in her record, she had an
she never
entire starting 5, and here she is, an undefeated season to win the national championship.
Crazy.
So I think, just certainly Caitlin Clark to lift her up, but there's so many women that are being recognized for the innovations and the excellence that they're bringing to women's sports in general, and I'm just excited about the future of women's sports.
The LA84 Play Equity Summit is taking place this Wednesday right across the street here at LA Live. You can register at LA84.org. That's Renata Simril, President and CEO of LA84 Foundation. Renata, it's a pleasure.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you guys for
Appreciate
having me.
You got it for sure.